I'm on the Gold Coast and I'm about to go hang out with Simon Beard at his house. We're going there for a business mastermind with 9 other founders. So I'm going to take you along, see what we learn. And if you don't know who Simon Beard is, he founded Culture Kings and sold that at a $600 million valuation. So let's go see what we learn.
Yo, trust in the process, trust in the plan. Chasing my goals, so I gotta go ham. Stay diligent, militant, making moves, I'm vigilant, stick to the plan. Nobody's coming to save you, my bro.
Just wrapped up a big day of learning here at his residence and just finished it up on the Lambo yacht. Went over all things psychology, AI, heaps of big learnings. I'd love to ask you, Simon, if you could give one piece of advice to say me or anyone watching, like they're at that like sort of 5 million level in business, like what's the next step? I guess I'm asking for myself, but just to break through to that 10, 20, 50 million. Is there any like traits that you notice in like founders?
I do think you need to understand the metrics of profit, contribution margin, and it is literally can just be putting another zero on the ad spend. A lot of that is that price arbitrage and the media buying to just be able to break that next scale. As long as your product is good enough, as long as the underlying metrics are there, is that the repeat rate, the customers love it, they come back, there's enough organic of that word of mouth to fuel that flywheel, then you're on. A lot of it just comes to enough of tweaking the offer, the deal, the content to really get that to scale. And I'm telling you, if you can do 5 million, you can do 50. You've done the hardest part. You've cracked the product market fit, but now it's just those tweaks and kinks, and then it's just that scale. Building a brand today is building a content production flywheel. So you need to be able to build this system that creates content that's learning and getting better and improving. This is a huge part of building a brand today. But as long as your metrics are good and their customers come back and repeat, you can remarket to them, your size great, your upsell and everything is there and your margins stack up. That is the whole game.
I'd love to put out more content personally. Do you worry about putting out personal content when you've got something to talk about at 50 million? Or is it like, is it taking away from the actual main focuses of growing the company?
The personal content needs to be focused on your brand and still on your customer. Like there's only this part of getting it around the business content if it's related to you're selling them like your software or your content or your something. My thing would be that focus around building that community around the dog, the breeds, the toys, the gamification, the education. How do you exercise your dog? How do you create these magic moments and these feeling and that for lighting up their dog? Because that's like, if you can capture that content, that's really what they're buying. That feeling of like the squeak, that look on their face of their dog, and how you can capture that model. But I would really lean into, because you're that founder that saw that gap to start with, you could see that pattern recognition. You had that experience. That's why you created it. You still should do so much of the ads and so much of that because it'll print, because your authenticity will come through the camera. It'll connect through it more so than if you just pay a UGC creator or something. And a lot of the time you'll spend so much time. You got to do this, you got to do that, tweak that. And it's like, it's fucking quicker for you to do it. Because when you do it, you'll go in and it will get lost where you can pull out your phone, use edits, bang, bang, done in the ad account. Fucking great.
So Simon's done a full audit on Happy Staffy. So I'm about to go home now and read it. Was there anything that actually stood out?
Definitely from the opportunity of the size of the US market, looking at some of those bigger ones and like, wow, the sort of scale. And you've obviously got that product market fit to be able to get this so far, so quickly. I think there's huge opportunity, but definitely there's a lot of from those AI parts that could really speed up and get you more leverage. But it's still going to come down to your specific knowledge. That the same way you've cracked it to here, it's getting that and extrapolating it out.
You got amazing advice. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
All right, so I have just sat down and it's the day after the event. I'm still processing everything. These things usually take a little bit of time, but I just wanted to share some of my thoughts with you guys while they're still fresh. Firstly, do I think it was worth the 10K investment? I'm gonna share more about that at the end, so make sure you listen all the way through. But basically, we arrived and I met all the other founders. There was 9 of us in the room, and a bunch of these guys were like 9-figure brands, so epic being in the room with them. And surprisingly enough, one of them was actually from my little hometown in Wodonga, so that was crazy to see. Simon had basically done a full audit on our business, gave us this folder. We've got another folder and some other ones, and yeah, I'm still unpacking this, but a lot of action items from here just on its own. What did I learn? The quality of your decisions is determined by the emotional state that you're in when you make them. And I came into this day thinking that it's going to be all about business, strategy, like AI, but it actually went so much deeper than that. And I'm really glad that it did, because it was a good reminder and I needed it. We went like deep into personal performance. Most founders try to fix the results by just changing a behavior, but the behavior comes from the thinking, the feeling, and the emotions, which is all tied to our physiology. So if you want to change the result, then you have to go all the way down and fix the physiology, and everything above it will just shift on its own. I'm gonna put up a little chart right here that he showed us, this little iceberg, and this explains everything. So one line that Simon had said to me was, what is measured gets managed, and what is managed gets improved. This one actually stuck with me. I don't know how many people are measuring their emotional state on a daily basis or a situation basis. I know that I'm not, but this is one thing that I'm going to be taking away from it and start doing. So he actually showed us this chart here that he basically lives by. I'm going to hang this one up in my office. It's really good. What you've got is high energy up the top, low energy down the bottom, and then positive on one side and negative on the other. So on the quadrant, you have high energy, positive emotion, and you have passionate, determined, energetic, creative. And this is those moments where you feel like you can just run through a wall. And then down the bottom on the positive side, but low energy, you have like grateful, appreciation, and just being present. And these are beautiful emotions that we want to feel as well. On the high energy, but negative emotions, we have frustrated, impulsive, angry, pissed off, and nobody can make clear and good decisions when you're in this state. Down the bottom, low energy, negative emotions. This is bored, depressed, disappointed, and you don't want to be here. The point is, at any moment, you're somewhere on this chart, and most people are just drifting through life. They don't even realize where they are. But the average of where you sit on this chart is your emotional set point, and that is basically your character, and it's your personality. It's who you are. One of Simon's reasons for getting into business, it wasn't about trying to make more money. It was that he wanted to move his emotional set point forward on that quadrant. Because what's the point of growing a business if every single day you're just stressed and miserable? He said that when he sold to private equity, that is exactly what happened, and he dropped back down here on the chart because he was no longer in control. That's when he stepped down from being the CEO. He actually told this other story before he even started Culture Kings. He was selling cameras at the markets, and all of the other store holders were just super negative. They were complaining about rent, weather, recessions, all of that. 10 minutes in of him being there, he's like, nah, I'm packing up. I'm gonna go out with my mates, go drinking. He was literally planning like, how can I get out of here? Then he remembered this state changing and what he had previously learned, and he went behind the curtain. He was banging on his chest, doing the haka, had some Jay-Z playing, and he come back out there and he was just charged up and determined. He started putting on a show. He was calling people over, telling them to get in line. These are the best cameras. You need this camera. In the next 10 minutes, everyone's lining up, and he sold thousands of dollars worth of these cameras. And as a good reminder that you need to constantly be keeping an eye on your state, because the state that we're in, it influences everything else downstream. And often the answer isn't just try harder. It's that we need to go deeper. We need to work out why we are feeling the way we are, because if we want to lead people, then we need to show up with energy. If your team is at room temperature, then it is your job as a business owner that you need to bring that energy. You need to be able to adjust your state, or it's going to be so much harder to influence people. And a lot of what business is how well can you influence? Like, you need to be able to convince your customers why they should buy your product over a cheaper competitor, or why your team should work for you when they could be getting paid more somewhere else, or just closing a deal. It all comes back down to what state are you in. I'm definitely going to start measuring this. This is something he actually showed us how to do, is to get into the right state. It's something that you can anchor. I think he learned this from Tony Robbins. I've heard a little bit about this before, and it's something that I used to be quite into, and I've definitely dropped off over the years. I'm going to be going back deeper and start to measure my baseline so that I can improve it, because what gets measured gets managed, and what gets managed gets improved. Another big takeaway from me was one of the values that he used to run Culture Kings by, and that is, it is better to ask forgiveness than for permission. And this is so clear just in the way that he operates and the way that he leads his team when he was building his company. Like, successful people, they just take opportunities as soon as they see them. They're not waiting to be told that it's okay to do it. They're just taking action. I could tell that this is how he encouraged his whole team to do the same. Like, they're not worried about failing. They're more worried about just being too slow and missing out. This is just such a common trait that that I've seen amongst people. And I think once he sold Culture Kings to private equity, that these values that he had instilled in the company, they started dying out, and there's all these corporate processes that they need to follow, like annual marketing budgets instead of just daily decisions, taking action, seeing an opportunity and getting after it. And that's what led to a decline in their profitability. So it's a good reminder that that founder-led energy and taking big bets on yourself and encouraging the team to do the same pays off. And playing it safe, you often get left behind. So go big, and if you fuck up, then ask for forgiveness later. So we also went pretty deep on AI and how he's using this in his businesses. He's given us a folder of how we can implement it in our business, in the order, shared a lot of the different skills that he's set up and the structure of how he's running all these agents and the certain departments. If you are looking to get set up right now and build out these agents that can automate things, ChatGPT Code X is the easiest way to get that set up. But another big takeaway from this was you can outsource the thinking, but you can't outsource the understanding. And the big thing that I'm working on with AI in my business right now is I'm trying to build out an operating system, and that'll just show me exactly how much contribution margin we have per channel, along with a lot of other metrics, so I can just come in, make better decisions, and it's going to be pulling from Shopify, Amazon, wholesale channels. The whole point of it is leverage. Get the agents doing the work, pulling the data, and just like building the reports, scraping the stuff that matters, so I can still stay in the seat and just understanding every critical part of the business. Because the trap that I see people falling into right now with AI is they're using it to skip the thinking. They're letting it write everything for them, build the strategy, make the decisions, and they are forgetting how to actually use critical thinking. And if you don't understand your own business, then it's probably not going to last long. The founders that are winning with AI, they're in the seat and they're just using it to do the work 10 times faster. So the honest answer, do I think the day was worth it? Well, that depends entirely what I'm going to do over the next 90 days, because right now it is just notes in a book and there is a ton of value here, along with all these new AI skills that I've got to implement. The value only gets unlocked when I put this into action. So I'll come back and I'll report on how it's going. But honestly, just the exposure, seeing how Simon lived, getting to tour his house and finishing up the day on his boat made me start to think so much bigger, because you can only dream to the level that you are exposed to. So if you've liked this video, guys, and you want to see more founder content, behind the scenes, building Happy Staffy, then make sure you subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.